Welcome to Driven, the Unscripted Success podcast, with your hosts, Mike Menino and Nariman Hamden, bringing you insights and stories on achieving personal, professional, and financial success.
Hi, everybody. I'm Michael Menino, and welcome to Driven Unscripted Success podcast. Today on the podcast, we're interviewing professionals who share their experience with you, the audience, and how they got to where they're at today. And zooming from the beautiful island of Naples, Florida, is April O'Leary from O'Leary Publishing. We're just talking about how she got into publishing, and she ended up publishing 50 titles in the last few years. That's awesome. How you doing, young lady?
Thank you. Yeah, well, I wish I was on an island. I'm on a little bit more of a peninsula, kind of. We were just joking about being on the Gulf of America, which I still call Mexico. But anyways, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you for coming. I really do appreciate it. Could you do me a favor and tell everybody about your journey and how you got to where you're at today?
I would be happy to. So I was an at-home mom for 10 years when my kids were little and hit some pretty major personal road bumps, which, you know, anyone who's successful can look back on their sort of hero's journey and say, wow, that thing really sucked. And it changed the complete trajectory of what I'm doing now. So I got into therapy. I ended up going back to school to become a life coach, start a life coach brand, and I was guest producing a radio show. And my life coach mentor, David Essel, who had this radio show, said that the one qualification for someone to be on this show, it was the all positive talk radio show, is they had to have a book. So it kind of like percolated this idea, like maybe I should have a book. So without all of the backstory and boring details of how that book came to be, I learned a lot about traditional publishing versus independent and self-publishing. I knew I wasn't going to qualify for traditional publishing deal at that time. So I figured out how to do it. And then I just kept growing my brand and writing and publishing and running events and helping people and that kind of thing. And by 2018, I had some friends asking me, like, could I help them do it? And I thought, well, yeah, I mean, I could. And I just sort of saw the wink from the universe to change direction slightly. And I didn't know how much it would grow, but in the past 7 years, we've published about 50 titles and we're still going strong. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it sounds exciting. That's awesome. And writing the book is kind of been a dream of mine, but I'm probably the one that would read it. So there's a lot of competition in that publishing space. What comes easy to you, and what sets you apart from everybody else?
That's a great question. You know, I think that when you have a business, you have to really believe in what you do and that it is unique and needed. And I find that in the publishing space, where we're working with new authors, mostly people who haven't written before, they have a brand, they're already making income, doing whatever it is they love, but they feel their voice and their story and their success is important to share, but they have no idea how to do it. And so going with an independent kind of high volume publisher, maybe a little low cost, for example, they're not going to get the hand holding. It's not everyone can sit down and write a whole book without any help. So we really help the new and aspiring author go from idea to published book by using a process we've created called book mapping. And then we use active editorial process so that they're getting kind of immediate feedback on what they're writing as they're developing their manuscript. And then we really do a full book launch for them. We really help them with the marketing and incorporating how does this book fit into the center of the ecosystem of what you're doing? Because the book there has to be a purpose to it. We're a very much a purpose-driven publishing company for people who have weathered some really difficult storms. They've had a lot of success. They have unique and novel idea, you know, those kinds of things. And they really want their voice to get out there, but not all of them have excellent marketing skills. So we try to help them build the marketing skills with it. And then we also offer a big event we do once a year where authors get to do a TEDx style talk and get it professionally recorded. So a lot of them kind of segue into public speaking and paid speaking, and we want to help facilitate that. So we're kind of their partner in sort of cracking open the shell of their brand.
Nice, very awesome. So public speaking, so you organize public speaking events?
I do. We have an event called Book to Naples. We've done it for 5 years now. And I did it because, I mean, we've all watched TED Talks, right? They're very concise, they're very interesting, not a huge time commitment. And the person speaking has a unique or novel idea or story worth spreading. That's their whole thing, right? Ideas worth spreading. So I thought, well, what if I could do that for my authors, create a similar style event where I give them a 10 to 15-minute window to tell their story. And so that started right after COVID. We did our first event, and we had 6 of our authors speak. And it was kind of like a book signing slash TED event slash networking. And everyone loved it. It was really inspiring. And there's not a lot of it's not a fundraiser, it's not a gala, it's not those kinds of events that, everyone's been to before a million times. It's just kind of its own little unique event. So for a lot of our authors, it's their first time getting on stage in front of a few hundred people and having a microphone and having to tell their story. And I think that's a big piece of the puzzle as a new author, is to not only be comfortable on paper, but to be comfortable talking to people in person. So yeah, that's really something we love to do.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. One of my biggest fears years ago was public speaking, and apparently it's the biggest fear. Like 66% of people have the fear of public speaking. Some people would rather die than public speak, which
I've heard
sounds
that.
insane. It sounds insane, but once you do it a couple times, it is absolutely. I find it the funnest thing in the world.
Yeah.
I do public speaking, motivational speaking on. I'm a martial artist too, and I show people how to break boards and bricks and stuff like that. And
Wow.
most people that don't think they can do it, and then it changed. This one girl cried on me. I was like, I
Oh
don't
my
know what to
God.
do. Yeah, I was like, I thought she hurt herself, and I was like, what happened? She goes, I've been wanting to do this for years, and you made me do it. I'm sorry, I'm happy. And I'm like, oh, those are tears of joy. Yeah, she goes, yeah. I go, good. Your hands. She goes, yeah, my hands okay. So the joy of
Wow.
public speaking, right?
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So you alluded to the problems in your past. What is one of your biggest challenges? How did you overcome it?
Ooh, there's been so many.
I know you got to pick one, right?
Yeah, I know, right? Pick one. Well, I think for me, I would say that as an adult, and this is sort of a high level kind of mindset shift, was I was raised in an environment that was very much about people pleasing, catering to others, sacrificing yourself to make everybody else happy, that kind of thing. And it just doesn't work. And it took me a long time. I had 3 kids before I was 30. I was an at-home mom, and I lost myself entirely and felt really guilty about it. Like I had no idea kind of what was wrong with me, like why I was so sort of miserable, honestly, even though I felt like I should be. I'm saying that in quotes, happy, right? You have 3 healthy kids, you've got a home, you've got a husband, bills are paid, you've got food on the table. You kind of feel like this ungrateful person. And that's what led to what was my biggest or challenge was I had an affair back then, actually, in 2009. And I regretfully, didn't have any better tools to handle my life with at the time. I was emotionally stunted, I would say. I didn't know how to have real conversations and be real about how I was really feeling, which if you're in a healthy relationship, you should be able to talk to your partner about, hey, this isn't working for me, or I'm really stressed out or whatever. And I just didn't have those tools because I felt like I had to be this perfect version of this mom and this, wife and whatever. But the good news is that's what led me into therapy, where I learned a lot about people pleasing and codependency and all that stuff. And it just changed the course of everything. And we, stayed married for another 15 years after that. So I would say we had a pretty successful long-term marriage. We're no longer married, but I wish him the best.
Nice.
That's
That's a
all
very
I can
nice.
say. Yeah.
That's a very nice outlook to have on an ex-husband, ex-wife, because a lot of people aren't comfortable in that space, and it's always the best place to be.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I would say that was probably, I've got other stories like most people do, but I would say that, that one kind of shift in my own personal life, that rock bottom personal life story opened the door for me to get into life coaching, to get into writing, to get into speaking, and into, us talking right now. So I would say that was
Awesome.
pretty pivotal. Yeah.
Sounds like things are going pretty well for you in your finances, and wondering in the future, what have you ever in the future or past, have you ever done anything to create passive income?
Well, books are great passive income,
There you go. See?
actually, and that's
So
one
there
thing.
you go. Sell it.
Yeah, that's one thing that we talk about, because in the space that I'm in as an independent publisher, working with new authors, it's their money that they're investing into their project, into their brand. Like, we're not the traditional publisher that kind of offers an advance and pays for the project, because those kinds of publishers, traditionals, right? They are working with people who they know can sell books, big name brands, people with name recognition, large social media followings, et cetera, whatever. We don't. So you really have to make that decision. Is it worth it? Well, if you have a book and it can sell passively and speak for you. I just had a publishing consultation with someone yesterday who's has a therapy practice. There's only so many hours you can sit on a couch or, across from somebody to talk to them about their life, right? I mean, you get maxed out mentally, physically, all that. So I think a book, I've done digital courses online. So when I was life coaching, I had a good number of digital courses and workbooks that I was selling, an 8-week
Mhm.
course that was developed off of my first book, Ride the Wave, which is all about emotional management. So I used to teach that like remotely. I would teach it in person, and then I recorded it and I had it for sale online. And then we're in the process of developing a DIY publishing course. So I hope to launch that soon. And
DIY.
DIY, do it yourself. So for people that don't want to necessarily pay for the hand holding we offer, but they want to know what our processes are and be coached through it remotely, like on an asynchronous basis, we're in the process of putting together that. So, other than like, investing in those kinds of like passive income vehicles that outside of that, I'm just talking, within my business, what I'm doing for passive income.
So no, passive income is passive income. A lot of people struggle with that particular question. Seems to it seems to blow most people. It really does blow most people's mind. When we ask it, we're like, we want to know what, financially you've done. And I've heard a lot of what you're saying is, selling books or selling programs or things of that nature. But not much else besides that. It's really kind of interesting. It's a very good
What else,
question. It blows people's mind.
what else would you lump into that category?
Well, passive income, we do multifamily investing. So we just invest in multifamily and the tenants pay us, monthly. So
I
it's
gotcha.
really easy.
It's
And
retainer. Yeah, retainer kind of.
well,
No?
it's more of an investment that it's I can talk to you about it later, but we've talked about it a few times on the podcast. People have a hard time understanding it and believing it, to be completely honest with you.
Okay.
Uh, it's just a lot of fun and it's so easy and there's almost zero effort. And I wanted to see what other kind of passive incomes are out there for most people.
Yeah. Yeah, you
Um,
want that.
well, some people like to, I'm sure you've interviewed a few people in this world, and some people just like to work hard, and that's what they enjoy. That's what they,
I come from the Midwestern farm work ethic, Protestant
yeah,
farm work ethic, and it's like getting
gotcha.
that the guilt of like, I'm not working from sun up till sundown. I've had to learn how to relax into like, it's okay if I just chip and putt some days and I just enjoy
Chip
my
and putt.
life, right? And just enjoy
I'm
my
going to use
life.
that one, chip and putt.
Yeah.
I think it's a great name to this one. I got a good question for you. So
Okay.
if you could go back to your 20s, back in the day, I call
Mhm.
it back in the day. It was a Thursday, just so everybody knows. You can go back in the day knowing everything you know now. What would you do different, and what would you do the same? Ooh, that's a good one.
Well, I mean, I had my first kid at 24. I got married at 23. So I didn't really have a lot of that sort of 20s. Like my sister, who's a year younger than I am, basically had her child 10 years after me. So she kind of had a more explorative 20s, moving around, different jobs, went back and got her master's, blah, blah, blah. And I think I struggled a lot in my 20s because I had my kids so young, because I didn't know myself well enough. My dad had just died, like there was just a constellation of like a lot of things. But now on this side of the equation, I'm 48 and my youngest kid is 18. So I'm so glad I did it that way, because I know people that are in their mid 40s with toddlers, and I would like not want to be in their shoes right now. So I guess going back to what I know now is what I know now that I wish I could have done then, especially being in that situation I was in, being married, is I would have had more courage to speak up and own my truth and set better boundaries for myself and not feel guilty if I wanted to like hire a babysitter, which I never did, and take some time for myself. Like I had so much guilt around doing anything that have been, a break. So I kind of dug my own grave, to be honest with you. I just didn't know I was.
Gotcha. What would you do the same?
What would I do the same? I would love my kids the same. I loved
There
being
you
a
go.
home mom. I
Yeah.
love that I got to spend the time with them. Did it kind of set me back like a decade in my career? Probably. I didn't even think about that though then. I wasn't like, because so many people are out there sort of building their career and all that stuff. And I remember this is kind of a funny story. So I have a degree in elementary and middle school education with a math minor. So I always thought I'd be a middle school math teacher, but I had kids like right away. I never got into teaching. And then once my youngest was about 2, I was going to put her in preschool for like those number of years so that I could teach at the preschool level. And then I would like have credibility to get a teaching job, right? But I remember having to apply for this preschool job and said to my sister, who had been in the workforce, right? I was like, I don't have anything to put on my resume. Like, what do I put on it? It was just
Raise 3 kids.
it was just such a humbling moment of like, oh my God, like that I keep a clean house, that I can manage 3 kids under 5. Like, I don't know. But so on my LinkedIn profile, I did put in that section where they allow you to put parenting break. So like that's the first step in my LinkedIn profile is I had a parenting break before I started my career.
That's fantastic. In wrapping up the interview, what exciting plans do you have for the next 6 to 12 months?
Ooh, great question. We are launching an author series. So for our Book Naples event, we're going to twist it a little bit this year. And instead of doing one event with 6 short talks, we're going to offer longer talks, but single authors. So we're doing that. I run a group called the Naples Speakers. So it's professional speakers in the Naples area. So we're really growing that and our speaking platform. I personally want to write another book. I'm just sort of circling around what that's going to be. I have a number of ideas, but it's more like for me, O'Leary Publishing is like going so strong, and it's really a great company, and I've got a great team of people, and I think I can focus on building my personal brand a little bit, and getting more out and just speaking on things that interest me. So that's kind of it for me, and the DIY publishing course.
Besides that, nothing, right?
Besides that,
Sounds like
I'm just going to be chipping and putting. I don't know.
chipping and putting. I love
Naples
that.
has a lot of golf courses.
So you like golfing?
I do actually. I mean, my dad got me. I grew up golfing. I'm not a great golfer and I don't do it regularly, but I do have my own set of clubs and I do love me a good driving range.
I do love me a good driving range.
A good bucket of balls.
I love it when I only lose 3 balls in 9.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Well, listen, April, thank you very much for everything. If anybody want to get in contact with you and help write a book, how would they do that?
I would love to speak to you. I offer free publishing consultations for anyone who's just like kicking the tire. They want to see, like, I've always thought about being an author. I don't know how hard that would be or if it's for me or whatever. So if you go to o'learypublishing.com, right on the homepage, there's a button you can click to schedule a publishing consultation. So just schedule one. You can access my calendar and get on it. And I'd love to talk to you.
Awesome. Well, if anybody wants to write a book, I know the young lady would be able to help you with that, April O'Leary. Thank you very much for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Michael. It's been fun.
Hey, listen, everybody else, if you'd like to you do us a favor and like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate your input. And if you have any questions, put it down in the comment section. We'd love to hear it. Have a great day, and thank you very much.
Thanks for listening to Driven, the Unscripted Success Podcast. Want to share your story? Apply to be a guest at drivensuccesspodcast.com/guest.